Have you ever felt it? That sudden, sharp, and disproportionate flash of anger at a stranger in traffic, or that cold, creeping feeling of jealousy when a friend shares wonderful news about their success. Maybe it's the way you judge someone a little too harshly, a little too quickly, for a flaw you secretly fear you possess yourself. You find yourself thinking, "I would never be that arrogant," or "How could someone be so needy?" And yet, there's a strange energy behind the thought, a heat that feels personal. Where does this come from? This intense, sometimes ugly, reaction that seems to bubble up from a place you don't recognize. We push it down, tell ourselves we're just having a bad day, or that the other person truly deserved our scorn. But what if these moments aren't random glitches in our character? What if they are messages, distress signals from a lost and forgotten part of yourself? The brilliant Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung had a name for this hidden part of our psyche. He called it the shadow. Imagine your consciousness, your personality, as a vast and sprawling house. There are the sunlit rooms upstairs, the living room where you entertain guests, showing them your kindness, your intelligence, your humor. This is the persona, the mask you present to the world, the version of you that you are comfortable with. It's clean, it's tidy, and it's socially acceptable. But every house has a basement. A dark, unvisited place down a flight of rickety stairs. We don't take guests there. In fact, most of us pretend it doesn't even exist. We lock the door, perhaps even board it up, and try to ignore the strange thumps and whispers that sometimes drift up through the floorboards. This basement is your shadow self. It's where you have exiled every part of yourself that you deemed unacceptable, shameful, or weak. It's the storage room for your repressed anger, your forbidden desires, your crippling insecurities, your untamed greed, and your deepest fears. 2. We all have one. It is an inescapable consequence of being human, of growing up in a society that tells us, from our earliest days, what is good and what is bad, what is lovable and what is unworthy. The journey we are about to embark on together is a journey down into that basement, not with force or with judgment, but with a lantern of curiosity and a heart full of courage. Because the secret of the shadow is this: it holds not only your demons, but also your buried treasure. It is the source of immense, raw, creative energy, of profound vitality, and of your most authentic self. To become whole, we cannot live only in the sunlit rooms upstairs. We must learn to walk the stairs, unlock the door, and meet the ghosts we have created. If this idea of exploring the hidden architecture of your own mind already sparks a sense of recognition, a quiet yes in your soul, take a moment to subscribe to Mind Decode Explained. We journey through these intricate landscapes of the mind together, discovering the keys to our own inner worlds. We are all just guides for one another, and I am honored to walk with you today. So, how does this shadow form? It begins in childhood, a process as natural as breathing. As a small child, you are a bundle of pure, unfiltered impulses. You are happy, sad, angry, jealous, generous, and selfish, all within the span of an hour. You are whole. But then, you begin to receive messages. Your parents praise you for being quiet and polite, so you learn that being loud is bad. A teacher shames you for a burst of creative chaos, so you learn that being orderly is good. You see that popular children are confident and outgoing, so you decide that your shyness is a flaw to be hidden. Piece by piece, you begin to disown parts of yourself. You take these undesirable traits, the anger, the neediness, the vulnerability, the wild ambition, and you carry them down to the basement of your psyche, one by one. You lock the door not out of malice, but out of a desperate need to be loved, to be accepted, to survive. The persona, your curated self, is born from this sacrifice. But the exiled parts don't just disappear. They coalesce in the dark, forming the shadow, a powerful, unconscious subpersonality. And this is where the trouble begins. Because the energy you spend keeping that basement door locked is immense. It is a constant, draining effort that saps your vitality. And the shadow, for its part, does not want to stay locked away. It wants to be seen, to be heard, to be reintegrated into the whole. 3. So, it finds ways to make its presence known. The most common and most deceptive way it does this is through projection. Projection is the unconscious act of attributing our own unacceptable qualities to other people. 4. It's a defense mechanism that allows us to see our own shadow, not in the mirror, but in the faces of those around us. 5. Think about that person at work who you find unbearably arrogant. Their confidence grates on you, their self-promotion makes your skin crawl. You judge them, you gossip about them, you feel a righteous indignation in their presence. Now, let's pause and hold the lantern of curiosity. Could it be that somewhere in your own basement, there is a powerful, ambitious part of you that you were taught to suppress? A part of you that longs to be seen and recognized, but that you have labeled as arrogant and unacceptable? When you see it in your colleague, it is a painful reminder of what you have locked away. The intense irritation you feel is not just about them, it's the cry of your own exiled ambition, rattling the basement door. The same is true for other traits. When you are intensely judgmental of someone's perceived weakness or neediness, could it be your own disowned vulnerability calling out? When you are enraged by another's selfishness, might it be a reflection of a healthy self-interest you were never allowed to have? Jung famously said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." Our triggers are our teachers. They are signposts pointing directly to the locked door of our own basement. This is a profound and often difficult truth to accept. It is so much easier to believe the world is full of flawed, irritating people than it is to turn inward and face the possibility that the darkness we see out there is a reflection of a darkness in here. This leads us to one of the most common and dangerous misconceptions about this work: that the shadow is something evil that must be vanquished. We are steeped in stories of good versus evil, light versus dark, where the hero must destroy the monster. So, our first instinct is to declare war on our shadow. We try to kill it with positive thinking, to smother it with affirmations, to exercise it through sheer willpower, but this is a futile and damaging battle. Trying to destroy your shadow is like trying to cut yourself off from your own literal shadow on a sunny day. It is an inseparable part of you. The more you fight it, the darker and more powerful it becomes. The more you repress your anger, the more it will erupt in uncontrollable rage. 6. The more you deny your fear, the more it will manifest as paralyzing anxiety. Jung wisely stated, "I would rather be whole than good." This is the radical reframe required for shadow work. The goal is not to become a perfect, flawless, saintly being who lives only in the sunlit rooms. The goal is to become a whole, integrated human being who is not afraid of their own basement. It's about realizing that the qualities you've exiled are not inherently bad. Anger, in its pure form, is simply energy. 7. It can be a destructive force, yes, but it is also the fuel for setting boundaries and fighting for justice. 8. Greed, in its shadow form, is insatiable, but its golden, integrated form is a powerful ambition to build, create, and provide. Even jealousy, that corrosive emotion, points to a deep, unmet longing that needs your attention and compassion. 9. The shadow is not your enemy. It is a wounded part of you, holding the very qualities you need to feel complete. Another misconception is that this work is about wallowing in negativity. We are often told to look on the bright side and maintain positive vibes only. 10. While optimism is valuable, toxic positivity. The relentless insistence on being happy and ignoring difficult emotions is one of the surest ways to strengthen your shadow. It's like turning up the music upstairs to drown out the banging from the basement. It doesn't solve the problem, it just delays the inevitable and makes the eventual eruption even more violent. Researcher and storyteller Brené Brown has spoken extensively about how shame, which is the very soil in which the shadow grows, thrives on secrecy, silence, and judgment. 11. When we refuse to even acknowledge our negative feelings, we are bathing them in shame and giving them immense power over us. True emotional healing comes not from ignoring the darkness, but from turning to face it with courage and compassion. It's about having the strength to say, I feel envious right now, and that's okay. What is this envy trying to tell me? So, how do we begin this descent? How do we find the key and summon the courage to open that door? It's not a dramatic, one-time event, but a gentle, ongoing practice of turning inward. 12. There are tools we can use, ancient and modern, that act as our lanterns in the dark. The first and most fundamental tool is conscious awareness. It is the simple, yet profound act of noticing. Noticing your triggers without immediately reacting. The next time you feel that hot flush of disproportionate anger or that cold sting of judgment, just pause. Don't act on it. Don't suppress it. Just hold it for a moment. Breathe. And ask a gentle question. Hello, old friend. What's this about? This simple pause creates a space between the stimulus and your reaction, and in that space lies your freedom and your power to choose a different path. You begin to observe yourself as a compassionate scientist would, collecting data on the whispers from your own basement. The second tool is one of the most powerful for this work: journaling. But this isn't just a diary of your day. This is shadow work journaling, a deliberate conversation with your unconscious. 13. Find a quiet space. Take a pen and paper. The physical act is important and begin to explore. 14. One potent exercise is to think of a person who triggers you intensely. Describe them in detail. Write down everything about them that irritates, offends, or enrages you. Be brutally honest. Don't hold back. When you are done, read it over. Now, for the courageous part. Read it again, but this time, replace their name with I. I am arrogant. I am manipulative. I am so needy. Feel the resistance. Feel the discomfort. This is where the gold is. It doesn't mean you are literally all of these things, but it shines a light on the potential for these qualities that you have disowned and projected. Another journaling prompt is to write a letter to a part of yourself you have rejected. Write to your anger. Write to your fear. Write to your inner child who felt they were too much. Ask it questions. When did you first appear? What were you trying to protect me from? What do you need from me now? Don't censor the answers. Let whatever comes up flow onto the page. You are opening a channel of communication, turning the incoherent banging from the basement into a decipherable language. The third tool is the language of dreams. For Jung, dreams were not random neural firings. They were direct, uncensored letters from the unconscious. The shadow often appears in our dreams as a recurring menacing figure, a monster we are running from, or a person of the same sex who we despise or fear. 15. This shadow figure in your dream is a literal personification of your shadow self. Instead of just waking up and shaking off the nightmare, you can start a dream journal. Keep it by your bed and write down whatever you remember as soon as you wake up. Don't try to interpret it immediately. Just record the images, the feelings, the characters. Over time, you will begin to see patterns. That monster you are always fleeing from, what does it want? What happens if, in your imagination, you stop running and turn to face it? Often, in doing so, the monster transforms, revealing a hidden gift or a vital piece of information about your own inner life. These practice awareness, journaling, and dream work are not quick fixes. They are the slow, steady work of an archaeologist of the soul, carefully dusting off forgotten artifacts, mapping hidden chambers. It requires patience and, most importantly, self-compassion. 16. You are undoing years, sometimes decades, of self-rejection. You will encounter resistance. Your ego, the guardian of your persona, will not give up its control easily. It will tell you this is foolish, that you are fine as you are, that it's dangerous to go digging around in the dark. Be gentle with this resistance. Thank your ego for trying to protect you. And then, with your lantern held steady, continue your descent. Imagine you've been practicing for a while. You've been journaling, you've been noticing your projections, you've been paying attention to your dreams. You now stand before the basement door. You have the key in your hand. You take a deep breath, turn the lock, and pull the heavy door open. The air is stale and smells of dust and forgotten things. It's dark, but your lantern cuts a small circle of light. And what do you see? You don't see a terrifying, horned demon ready to destroy you. That was a fantasy created by your fear. What you see is far more poignant. In one corner, you see a small, crying child. The child who was told they were too loud, too sensitive, too much. This is your exiled vulnerability. In another corner, you see a starving artist, gaunt and pale, surrounded by beautiful but unfinished canvases. This is your creativity, which you abandoned because you were told it wasn't a practical way to make a living. Huddled in the back, you see a snarling, wounded animal. This is your anger, which was born from a time you were deeply hurt and had no other way to protect yourself. These are not monsters. These are the neglected, wounded, and starving parts of your own soul. The breakthrough moment in shadow work is not a battle. It is an embrace. It is the moment you walk over to that crying child, sit down, and say, "I'm here now. It's okay to be sensitive. I will protect you." It's the moment you offer the starving artist a fresh set of paints and whisper, "Your vision matters. Let's create something." It's the moment you approach the wounded animal, not with a stick, but with an open, gentle hand, and say, "I see your pain. You don't have to fight anymore. you are safe. This is the alchemy of integration. You are not destroying the shadow, you are liberating the energy trapped within it. 17. You are reclaiming the lost parts of yourself. This is an act of profound self-love, of reparenting yourself with the compassion you may never have received. Each time you do this, each time you reclaim a piece of your shadow, you become more whole. The qualities you once projected onto others begin to integrate within you in a healthy, balanced way. 18. The repressed ambition you saw as arrogance in your colleague can now fuel your own career in an authentic way. The vulnerability you judged as neediness in a friend can now allow you to form deeper, more intimate connections. The anger you feared now becomes a clear, powerful tool for setting boundaries and speaking your truth. You stop wasting so much energy holding that basement door shut. And that liberated energy becomes available for life. You feel more vital, more creative, more authentic. You are no longer living a fragmented life, pretending to be only the good parts of yourself. You become less judgmental of others because you have ceased to be so harshly judgmental of yourself. You see their shadows, their basements, and you recognize them with a sense of compassion rather than condemnation. You understand that their annoying behaviors, like your own, are often just the cries of a wounded part of them. This doesn't mean you condone harmful actions or become a doormat, but your reactions come from a place of centered wholeness rather than triggered reactivity. The story of your inner house changes. The basement is no longer a scary, locked-off prison. You might even decide to clean it up, install a proper light, and bring some of its treasures upstairs. It becomes a workshop, a studio, a wine cellar, a valuable and integrated part of the home. The whole house feels more solid, more real. You can walk freely from the sunlit living room to the deep, earthy basement, knowing that all of it is you. You are no longer at war with yourself. This is the promise of shadow work. It is not an easy path, but it is the path to true selfhood. It is the journey from a curated, fragile persona to a resilient, authentic, and integrated whole. It is the process of unmasking your inner demons, only to find they were your lost angels all along. As we come to the end of our time together today, I want to leave you not with a grand conclusion, but with a simple, quiet practice. The journey into the shadow is not a race. It is a lifelong pilgrimage of self-discovery. The goal isn't to arrive at a destination called healed, but to learn how to walk the path with awareness and love. So, here is your first step, or your next step, on that path. The next time you feel that powerful trigger, that flash of rage, that pang of envy, that wave of judgment, don't push it away. Don't analyze it into oblivion. Just for a moment, pause. Close your eyes. Take a breath. And ask your heart one gentle, curious question. What part of me, down in the quiet dark of my basement, is making this noise, and what is it trying to tell me? Just ask. And then listen. The answer will be the beginning of a conversation that can change your entire life. It is the beginning of coming home to yourself.